Hello and welcome to the Complete Podcast Network. I'm Anthony Wilson, recording from Los Angeles, California. Joining me are my two prestigious co-hosts, Jason Big Mitch Mitchell and David Galvis. How you fellas doing?
What up? Feeling good, feeling great.
All right, so the NBA Finals kick off Wednesday night in San Antonio. It'll be the Spurs and the Knicks. Uh, Either Wemby wins his first, and the Spurs win their first since 2014, and the Wemby era begins officially, or the Knicks win their first NBA championship since 1973. I think all of us are rooting for the Knicks, right?
Are we rooting for the Knicks? Yeah. Rooting for the Knicks doesn't necessarily mean I think they're gonna win, but
Okay.
rooting for the Knicks, yeah.
So let's get into that then. Um, Mitch, how do you handicap this series?
The way, I mean, the way that I see it, I think, I think the Spurs defense is just too tough. It's gonna end up being too much for the old Knickerbockers. Uh, I could I could see this being Spurs in five or six, honestly. I'm leaning six, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs could finish it in five with the way that they're playing defense right now. The way that their offense is humming now. Were they just humming just because they were so locked in against OKC? Did they spend too much emotion um, trying to topple OKC? Will they have enough juice left for the Knicks? The Knicks have been sitting at home resting for over a week now since they finished the Cavs off in four. Um, that could play a factor. Um, but yeah, watching the way that the Spurs play against the Thunder, it's hard to imagine that the Knicks will be able to overcome that. Um, but you know, going back to the days of Tim Duncan and and Tony Parker and Manu, I can't in good conscience root for the Spurs. Sorry, can't do it. I had to root for them to save the soul of basketball and beat OKC, but you know, this is if they win, whatever. But I think I'd rather see the Knicks take it. Uh, so my heart's rooting for the Knicks, but my head says that the Spurs will be victorious.
Okay, Galvis.
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, you watch the series against OKC. Uh, they uh they did what we thought no one really gave San Antonio a shot uh, in that series, and so you know, uh, I just think there's literally nobody on this planet that can guard Wemby. Um, I think the Knicks would be like a feel good story, right? So we kind of want them to win. Um, and I I could see this going seven. And if it does, I mean, I think we could throw out the Spurs, are too young and the lights might be too bright and they gotta kind of suffer. They went into OKC game seven, um, and they took them out, you know. And I put in the group chat, the basketball gods just did not want OKC to win. SGA tried to cheat the game, tried to cheat the refs, and look what happened. Blew up in his face. Even though he
Yep.
wasn't with all the antics in Game 7, but too little, too late. And
He tried to get
but
right with the Lord. It was too late.
yeah, that's it. Damage was done. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, I think we can all say like the country was pretty much hoping that OKC would it repeat. So I think we really don't have you know, a favorite here in LA. It's like, whatever. I think everybody was just happy OKC didn't win. But man, it just makes you think like we create these heroes and then we make them villains within seems like 1 2 years. It was like Patrick Mahomes. Remember, he was the darling of the NFL, and then everybody hated him. And then SGA, everybody kind of loved that OKC team because they're like a college team and they're all uh, very close. And then now it seems like Wemby. I mean, how long is it before we start hating on Wemby?
All it'll take for him to win, you know,
Yeah.
and then we'll start hating him. I know I'm not a hater, but I'll say this. So, Gabs, what's your pick?
Damn. If the Knicks win Game 1, they'll win the series. I think in 6. But if San Antonio wins, then I don't see it going past 5.
Oh, okay, I think Mitch said Spurs in 5 or 6. I I like the Knicks in 6. I do think. And then now the Knicks, by the time they play on Wednesday, it'll be like 9 games, 9 days since the Knicks last played. If you guys recall, in 2001, when we played the Sixers, we had 10 games off, 10 days off, right? Sixers had gone 7, right, with Milwaukee. They went to the max them every series for us before they played us. And we came out that game. We came out 18-5 to start the game. But I guess it was just pure like adrenaline. And then after that, the Sixers were able to, take us into those deep waters and then win it in overtime. But I think the Knicks, I think that, with each series, the Spurs are just learning as they go. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks took game 1. I like the Knicks in 6. It'll come down to basically it's going to go one of two ways. Either Wemby is an alien and he bucks the trend of having to like climb the ladder and take your bumps and take your losses before you win a championship, uh, or a small guard will beat a big a 7 4 foot 4 alien, which is not supposed to happen in basketball. But I think, I think the Knicks being a little bit more experienced, even though they haven't been in the finals before. This group has been together like, I mean, cat 2 years, but this group basically with Brunson and, you know, Josh Hart, they've been together 3 or 4 years, and they've made a couple of tweaks along the way. And I think that the Knicks, with, especially not so much the Knicks experience, but the lack of experience that the Spurs have, that it will be. I think it's time. I think it's time for the Knicks to finally win a championship for the first year since 1973. So I say Knicks in 6. And
But but Wilson, couldn't you use that same theory against the Knicks because none of them have really been in the finals?
but they have more experience than the Spurs do. Obviously, the Spurs. This is the first time the Spurs have even been in the playoffs. They're like all kids, you know. So
Yeah, but they went into OKC, won in
but
Game
the
7.
finals is the biggest stage, though. We'll see. But that's how I look at it. So what we're gonna do
I'll
now?
say this,
Oh, okay,
like
okay. We're
I
gonna
was,
let's break, and then we come back. You can finish your thought. All right, we're back. Mitch, you can finish your thought.
yeah, I was just gonna say really quick. I have been thinking about it all day. It's just, you know, it's crazy. The Knicks, finally make it to the finals. They finally break through. Um, like I said, they've been together for a couple of years now. um, finally break through. But man, like I could like low key, I could see, if they don't win it, this year, who knows if they even, if they ever make it back. It could be one of those teams. You look at a team like the Suns, you're like, oh, okay, oh, okay, cool. Okay, Giannis got it this time, but Suns will be back. Suns will be back. They pretty much ripped that team apart. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I just have this feeling that, if the Knicks don't do it this time, you know, it'd be tough for them to get back.
It'll probably be another 27 years before
Yeah.
they get back.
So, and I
Yeah,
feel
especially
like,
especially with Tatum coming back.
yeah,
Full
exactly.
full off season, full training camp. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. But, I don't know, man. Without poor Zingard on the Celtic side, who knows? I mean, they'll obviously be a threat, but I don't know if they'll. I don't know if I don't know if the Celtics will make it back. And I could just be a hater, but
you know.
I mean, because obviously I don't think Jason Tatum's that good. Um, I think he's ugly and he's not good at basketball. So
Is that a Shane Murray like take?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I've
so
got
in your eyes, Jason Tatum is your top 10 player?
Listen,
no, hell no.
we don't have we,
No, 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 no.
we don't have
Jason Tatum is a mid. I told y'all this before.
listen.
Jason Tatum is a mid-tier superstar. He's a middle of the pack type of superstar in this league.
All right, listen.
He's not even the best player on this team.
So if you were the Celtics, would
Garbage,
you
no,
trade him straight up for Austin Reeves?
no, stop. Okay, that's it.
Oh,
Listen,
what? Say it again.
If you were the Celtics, would
Galvis,
you
I'm
trade
telling you, bro.
Jason Tatum
Galvis,
straight up
stop.
for Austin Reeves?
Would would you would you trade?
No,
Would I
stop.
trade
No, that's
if
it.
the if I were the Celtics? Would I trade
Stop being
Tatum
belligerent.
for Austin Reeves? Hell yeah,
Yes.
hell yeah.
Listen.
I'd
So
take Austin over Tatum.
that's it. All right. Any more is insubordination. All right, look. All right, listen. Um, Rich Paul was on his was on Mind the Game, right? And he said he was up there. I think Arenas was up there with him and Max, wasn't he? And
Yeah,
and they're talking about Mike and Scotty, and Rich goes, Scottie Pippen's rings were more. Scottie Pippen basically was more impactful to the Bulls' 6 championships than Michael Jordan was. And I know Mitch wanted to just debunk that right quick. Hello?
this is just classic bronze sexual talk. You know, trying to find a way to kind of discredit Jordan in any way possible to try to, lift up LeBron. You know, it's nonsense to say Scotty was more impactful than Jordan on those Bulls teams. Scotty had his chance when Mike retired the first time. They didn't win. They were sitting there. Scotty was sitting there on the bench, pointing at his shoe, begging Jordan to come back. Like, what are we talking about right here? You know what I mean? Um, did Mike need Scotty? Of course, Mike needed Scotty. But let's not sit here and act like they were equal. They weren't a Shaq and Kobe type of pairing. They were a true A and B. You know, Shaq and Kobe was more of a 1-and-1. Magic and Kareem is more of a 1-and-1. You know, Mike and Scotty was not that. So let's not sit here and try to rewrite history just to try to build LeBron up. Like no, because let's be honest, if LeBron never leaves Cleveland, LeBron's probably sitting here with no rings. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? So it's just yeah, it's just poppycock.
Obviously, you have anything to say about that?
I think the problem is who that statement came from, right? It was Rich Paul, his agent. Um, and, it's he's going to get a lot of flack for that. Um, the problem I see it is this: there's really nothing you could say to change someone's mind, right? You come with all the stats and all the whatever, Bron's going to have more stats and all that, but it's just that it makes it worse. It makes it worse for LeBron because it's just a ridiculous statement. If you wanted to say, well, Jordan had better teams than LeBron, that's why he won 6 rings. All right, you can make an argument. But to say that Scottie Pippen had more impact, it's such an asinine statement. You know, it's when clearly Jordan was the the best player and it was his team. You know, like you could probably say, for example, on the Lakers team in the O2 series, you could probably say like maybe you could make the argument Kobe was maybe a little more impactful, maybe, but with Jordan and Scotty, it was just
No, definitely. In '02, that third run, for
hmm
sure. I think
hmm
I think in that third run, Kobe had overtaken Shaq
yeah
as, pretty much like, I think it was neck and neck the first two, but in that third one, Kobe had,
yeah.
pretty much surpassed Shaq, I
Well,
think.
well, me and
And
What
then,
on
me
the
and
third? We said you just said on the third championship team, Kobe has surpassed Shaq.
yes, sir.
Oh my
Antho,
god!
please listen. Antho, please
What are you
remember, Kobe carried Kobe carried us through the playoffs in that third run. Shaq didn't wake up until the finals. It's just the Nets had nobody for him.
yeah,
The
Shaq
Nets had
just
nobody
yeah
for Shaq, and
yeah.
Shaq woke
I,
up, and that's the only, but other than that, Kobe was the
yeah.
playoff MVP.
Yeah. If you switch Shaq with Pau Gasol on that O2 team, they still win
what?
in that in that
Oh
Yeah.
in the
really?
fin in
Oh
the
yeah.
finals in the finals
Oh, in
in the
the finals?
finals
Yeah.
So we damn sure don't beat
in the finals.
Sacramento.
Yeah,
Can
no,
you imagine?
but me and Wilson always said like Kobe in 2000, he was probably a top 10, 15 player,
Top
right?
shooter.
He was all NBA second team. By the time it was literally the very next season, he was already like a top three player. It was him, Shaq, and Duncan, and there was no argument.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. It is what it is. Scotty was great. Like I said, you if you I think if you put somebody like a Mitch Richmond, of course Jordan's there weren't that many great shooting guards. I mean, obviously you put Clyde Drexler on there, they win a couple championships probably. But even somebody like Mitch Richmond, I think if you put him on the '94 Bulls in place of Pete Myers, they win a championship. Then also at the same time, if you give Mike Jordan that second three-peat, if you give him a Grant Hill, it's still three-peating. It's just like Scottie Pippen, his skill set was unique. There haven't been that many people like him. It's really been more players like Jordan than there have been like Pippen. Not to say that Pippen was. I believe Jordan
How
was.
many rings? How many rings did the Bulls win in the '90s without Pippen?
Well, I know they don't win six. I know that they win. Like I said, if you give them a Grant Hill, Jamal
But depends who you're
Mashburn,
replacing with.
yeah, you give them a Grant Hill, Jamal Mashburn. Wait a second. We got to take a break, and then we'll be back. All right, we're back. So we're going to transition to the NFL now. Today is June 1st, which is I think is like the first day of like the new league year or something like that. So they can start making trades and stuff. And we had a couple of big ones. Uh, the one, I mean, the AJ Brown trade, we knew that one was coming because Diana Rossini already told us it was coming, right? But now the other one was the real. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. Absolute blockbuster.
Out of
Miles,
nowhere.
Miles Garrett to the Rams for Jarrett Verse and an assortment of first round picks. And it'll be the first next year. I think a second in 2028, and there'll be another one, I think, in 2029. Um, yeah, and Jared Verse himself is a very good player. You know,
Very good.
I saw Jay Glazer say that the Rams were trying to get this trade done without having to give up Jared Verse, and that they had to give him up to bring in, like Bomani Jones said, Miles Garrett might be the best football player in the NFL. Normally
Yeah.
people don't think of a defensive player being the best player, but he's so special. Last year he broke the sacks record, you know, single season sacks record. He legit is like one of those like a Reggie White, Mean Joe Green, Deacon Jones. I know he's a defensive line, but you can talk about like
Aaron Donald.
yeah,
Aaron
and then
Donald.
like
He did have an extra game to break the record, though.
that's
To
right,
be
Yeah.
yeah.
fair,
So he's a phenomenal player. It's like Lawrence Taylor. Yeah, I was Lawrence. I mean, he was a linebacker, but
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor was somebody that he was probably the best player in the NFL when he was playing. At
Yeah.
certain points, all time he ranks. It's like him. I'd say my top five is like Brady, Rice, Jim Brown, and then it's either Lawrence Taylor or Joe Montana. So you're talking about Rice, Montana, Taylor in the 80s. At different points, all of them were probably the best players in football in the 80s, right? And Miles Garrett is one of those rare players, a defensive player. You can say he's maybe the best player in the league. Um, I'm gonna start with Galvis because I mean I know Mitch is a Vikings fan, but I don't. Mitch, you rock with the Rams, but you're just you're a Vikings fan first and foremost, obviously. But
yep.
I think I'm gonna start with Galvis because Galvis is more of a Rams fan, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Galvis, how are you feeling about it? I mean, do you think the Rams gave up too much? Miles Garrett is 30 years old. I think Jared Verse
Yeah.
is younger.
Well, the thing here's what's crazy about Leslie. He really does not give a fuck about his picks. I mean, I don't know where the Rams just come up with these picks for these players. It just seems like every year they're giving up first round picks for these players. Um, but shout out to Les Need because the reason he's able to give away these picks is because he just drafts so well. First, second, when he rarely has first round picks, but second, third. I mean, that defense, the defense we have now, it was basically built on on the draft picks after the Super Bowl season. Um, and he said, "Well, I'm gonna get Trent McDuffie for a first round this year, right? You know exactly what he's gonna get. He's 25 years old. He's in the prime. Um, and Jared Verse, I think he was on his way to becoming, I said it, he's all pro, but Miles Garrett is all world. The
Hmm.
only thing that when you do these trades, the only thing you'd hope for is health. The last thing you want is you give up all of this. Not only do you give up your picks, but you give up Verse. You know, but he's got to bring it. He's got to. It's Super Bowl or bust. It's yeah, but I'm okay with the draft. I mean, sorry, the trade.
Uh, Mitch,
It's
as
not every day you can trade for a Miles Garrett.
right. Um, Mitch is just sort of I mean, as an LA resident, a native Angelino, and also just an NFL fan and pundit. Uh, how do you feel? How would you evaluate this trade?
Man, man, it's crazy to say, because Jared Verse, great player, great young player. He's definitely on the come up. Like I said, man, he's a all pro type of player. Oh man, it's crazy to think that you could upgrade him. You know what I mean? But this is the kind of trade you see in like the NBA. This is crazy. But yeah, no, I mean whatever's left of Matthew Stafford, uh, they still have a top offense. The defense was already great. Um, and then you add in Miles Garrett to this. It's like, woof,
And
Lord,
Trent McDuffie.
Mm,
and Trent McDuffie, right? It's like
that's
you,
kind of
you
like my
gotta
pick.
say, yeah, you just gotta. I mean, it's hard to. You gotta put them as front runners for the NFC. As of right now, with no football played, obviously, on paper, they're obviously the front runners after this. It's hard to say otherwise. Um, I know stupid Cowboys fans will probably say otherwise, but I mean, yeah, this is crazy. I was like, I saw the Schefter tweet come in. I mean, you know how you get the banners, and it's like, oh, I could see like, oh, trade, and I'm like, oh, interesting. I wonder what it could be. I click on the banner and I see Miles Garrett for Jared First. I literally like just yeah, my jaw dropped. I put my hand over my mouth. I'm just like, wait, what? Like I said, Ethel, it literally came out of nowhere. Like we all knew that the AJ Brown trade was coming down the pipe. Um, you know, it was like the AJ Brown trade was like the worst kept secret in the league, over the off season. Uh, but yeah, this Miles Garrett trade came out of nowhere. I think all we had heard coming out of the season was the Browns refused to trade him. They refused to trade him. Then they paid him, right?
Hmm.
And then the noise kind of died down. So I mean, we just kind of riding under the assumption that the Browns still refused to give him up. I thought Miles Garrett was gonna just die in Cleveland,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
like,
Just take all the money and just
yeah,
yeah.
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 Because
But yeah,
man, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, he had the trade request. They denied him, and then they paid him, and the noise died down. So I mean, we just think, okay, well, he got his money. All right, like it's all good. Like, yeah, the noise had died down. So who knew? Who knew that I mean, this is clearly the Rams going all in, saying we don't have that much left of Matthew Stafford. Who knows what's going to happen with Ty Simpson, right? That's who they drafted right this year.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, who knows how many years left we have of Matthew Stafford? We have to go all in now, and you know, the Rams pretty much pushed their chips to the middle of the table and said, let's ride.
All right.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like you're right. When was the last time we saw in the NFL a trade of this magnitude, where it was
Oof.
like great player for great or
I mean,
all-time great for really good?
yeah.
You know, it's usually just a bunch of draft picks because
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Look, we got to take another break, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about some more stuff. All right, we're back. So Mitch finally got around to watching the Michael movie. Mitch, what are your thoughts? Could you have a delayed review for us?
Yeah. Um, Man, I'm just mad it took me this long. Pretty much everything I heard from the people that I talked to about it, was good things. So, um, I'm happy to report that I have only good things to say as well. I thought it was an amazing movie. Um, not just not just a good biopic. I thought it was a really good movie. Um, I kind of lean on, when I think about movies, I look at them and, did I enjoy the movie? How does it make me feel? Uh, but also I lean a lot on, actors' performances. Um, I thought that the kid, I forget his name now, Giuliano or whatever the kid is that played Little Michael. I thought he was great. Um, I thought Jafar Jackson did an amazing, amazing, amazing job as Michael.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought he really embodied the spirit of Mike. Um, Coleman, I mean Coleman Domingo. I mean, the guy is. I mean, he is an he's what they call a
Yeah.
thespian. He's one of those ones. He, I think he knocks out any role he kind of steps into, kind of like Sterling K. Brown, um, and even Lakeith Stanfield. He's one of them ones too. Great thespians, as they say. But yeah, Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson. My goodness, like man, it's just you know, I feel like a lot of people, a lot of times we get to, especially, especially me being like a big Star Wars fan, a lot of times people get too into the nuts and bolts of a movie instead of,
Hmm.
how does the movie make you feel? And it's like, with Joe Jackson and, all the, uh, with his history of abuse and, that being out there, um,
Yeah.
man, you could like when he was on screen and he was in Michael's face or he was talking to the group, like you could feel the tension. Like you could just feel like, oh shit, like you say the wrong thing, this fool about to take off his belt and somebody getting their ass whooped. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you could feel the tension
Yeah. Even
whenever
even
he was
the
on screen.
even the the people in the labels were afraid of him.
Even yeah.
Yeah, they were like,
Oh
all
no.
right,
Like Mike
so
said, hey, yeah,
tell him he's not gonna be
yeah.
on the Jackson Five anymore. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. You tell him. I'll tell him.
Oh,
Then when he
yeah,
shows up,
yeah. We'll
yeah,
tell him. Yeah, we'll tell him, Mike. Don't worry, we got this. The fools
yeah,
were all scared. Hell yeah,
yeah,
and yeah. But yeah, and yeah, you could literally like you could feel that. It was no, it was amazing, amazing movie. I was reading up that a lot of it, some of it was out of order and everything like that. But
yeah.
again, that's more kind of nuts and bolts of the movie. You can kind of nitpick on that, but I
I I can
great
have the
movie.
attention fly. I can have the attention span of a fly if I don't
Hmm.
like something.
Hmm.
And no part of the movie was I bored,
Checked out. Yeah, me either.
or I was like, oh, come on, this is dragging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
And
mean,
to
they
think
also
that was only like what the movie ended in '88, right?
88, yeah,
Yeah.
22 years of his career because they started in 66, ended in 88. So
Yeah.
they covered about 22 years. I think the only thing you could probably say is maybe they skipped a little too fast sometimes, but I mean, but the movie was 2 hours still. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't necessarily cover everything, but
No.
I don't know. It's just
They did say
eh,
they wanted the part where he really hooks up with Quincy. Like they should have spent a little more time on how their
yeah,
relationship developed.
yeah,
But now you're
especially
just
on the thriller. Yeah,
yeah.
but again, that's more kind of nitpicking, but overall, I mean, again, great movie. I gave it I gave it an 8.5
Nice.
um, out of 10. Great movie. I mean, obviously, the music was on point.
good
um,
enough to win dare I say, an Academy Awards
for music
or just as a film,
as a film. Uh,
or is
it,
not that type of movie?
I mean, to get nominated, I could see it. I wouldn't mind if it got nominated. Honestly, I thought it was that good. What's it up? I think the question is always going to be, what's it up against? What else has come out? But if it got nominated for Best Picture, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
it
mad
wouldn't
at
be
that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the critics really liked it though. That's the thing.
yeah,
Um, but again, I feel like critics are definitely more worried about the nuts and bolts, and they're probably like,
yeah,
okay, maybe they did skip forward too much. Maybe,
yeah. They're always
there was a
looking
lot
for
out of
what's
order.
they're always looking for what's wrong as
Yeah,
opposed to yeah,
because I mean, you watching the movie, and I'm like, I could have swore he got bubbles way later. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah.
this feels out of order. But
And
at the
remember,
same time,
this was a movie made by my family.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's kind of like
Which is
NWA.
kind of, yeah,
It was
yeah,
made
which
by
is kind of,
fans
yeah,
like you.
kind of crazy, which is kind of crazy to that, so much was kind of out of order then, especially since it was, um, yeah, especially was, yeah, the Jacksons, a lot of the Jacksons produced it, executive produced it as well. Um, obviously, a lot of times I like to read up on the movie after. Uh, I think something that came to my mind after I was like, damn, crazy. No kind of mention of like Janet at any point,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
Well, she said
Uh,
she chose not to be in the movie, so they
yeah,
couldn't really.
I think the words Latoya said was quote she politely declined, which
Yeah.
Janet at this point, and not at this point, but I mean Janet has always kind of been her own
Yeah.
star. She
The
hasn't
outcast
needed
of
to. Yeah, she hasn't needed to attach her name to Michael's name to like I mean she's
to be
Janet
relevant.
Jackson, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's Janet Jackson. Like
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like
Like
when you say Janet Jackson, you don't think Michael Jackson's sister.
no, you really
You know,
don't. Which is
you
crazy to
mentioned
say.
Jermaine, Tito, Marlon. It's like, oh, that's Michael Jackson's brother.
Oh yeah. Those are the brothers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but Janet
Yeah,
Jackson's her
she's
own,
the yeah, she's the
which is
youngest
saying a
of the
lot,
of
which
the
is saying
yeah.
a hell of a lot.
I mean the youngest of 10 children. I mean, yeah, Janet, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Like,
Hmm.
she's her own kind of, not kind of, she's her own entity. She's an icon in her own right. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she, she doesn't need it, but I thought it would have been nice to kind of see. I would have been interested to see, how Joe interacted with her on the side, kind of getting her career launched um, around that time, when Michael's kind of starting to kind of like break off a little bit more and stuff like that.
So I wanted to say something briefly about the end of the series Euphoria, the HBO series that stars Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney and Alexa Demi. Now, I was not a watcher of Euphoria. Uh, I tried to watch, just like started like the beginning of one of the earliest first two seasons or something. I just couldn't really get into it. But of course, it was such a phenomenon that on
Hold
social.
on, Galvez?
What?
I think Galvez dropped off.
No, no, I'm here.
Oh shit, my bad.
Yeah, it was
My
such
bad.
it was such a phenomenon that on social media, it was hard to get away from, right? And so on Sunday, it was the season 3 finale. Nobody knew if it was a series finale or not. And then Monday, HBO confirmed that yes, it was a series finale. Now, this was basically signaled by spoiler alert. The way the finale ended, which was with the death of Zendaya's character Rue from a drug overdose. Right? You look at it and go, okay, well, that's what I was thinking. Even Sunday night was, well, how can the show go on without Zendaya? When Zendaya is the star of the show. Yeah, Sydney Sweeney and Alexa Demi became stars, but Zendaya, she is the central character, really. Um, Now, for me, I just want to say that I was not like I said, a little bit that I saw and the stuff that I was seeing on social media, it, I, I didn't, I had no interest in watching this show. I felt like it was slop. I felt like Sam Levinson is just, I don't know what his problem is. Just put a bunch of weird, kinky, freaky stuff in the TV show. And even as someone who never watched the show, I almost want to say that I'm glad that it's over. But for anybody who enjoyed the show and wish that it could have gone on, I'm sorry because I know how it feels when things you like go away. It's not a good feeling. But yeah, I just wanted to say, and then although yeah, I wanted to say something about Alexa Demi, right? Um, Alexa Demi, obviously she's a hot piece of ass, right?
Oh my goodness.
Alexa Demi, she's like a kind of like an icon, like a millennial icon, kind of. My favorite thing about Alexa Demi, and I know I just spent 2 minutes trashing the show. My favorite thing about Alexa Demi is she seems to practice the 16th law of power. The 16th law of power states, so her 16th rule of power states that basically you should make yourself scarce, right? So you shouldn't make yourself so available all the time. The more scarce you make yourself and the less available you make yourself, the more special you will seem to other people. And I think on top of Alexa Demi just being so attractive, the fact that if you look at her like filmography, like outside of Euphoria, she hasn't been in that much stuff. You know, that Euphoria is like 80% of her work as an actor. And there was a question about whether or not she'll retire. She said she's not going to retire from acting now. But the question itself just kind of goes to show that she has been that active, which I think makes her the fact that you can't just see her anytime you want to. You kind of just have to watch Euphoria. There was only 3 seasons of it. It makes her. That's why she's so. Uh, Her aura is like it. It's like it is. I think. Um, okay, so now we're going to transition from that. This kind of seems like a good segue into this darn Diddy, uh, Daphne Joy. I think it's Sky Diggler or Sly Diggler, however you say his name, and that tape that leaked uh, over the weekend. Um, Galvez, do you have anything? I mean, I know we talked about it earlier. So you got anything?
Yeah, you know, it's just now we can see why 50 hates Diddy. I mean, the most telling thing about the video though, besides the guy's 15-inch penis, is
Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh.
there's not one part of like if all of the Diddy freakouts are like this, there's not one point in the video where Daphne Joy seems like she's uncomfortable, she's forced, she doesn't want to do it. Um, she's like scared for her life, you know. And I hope all of the broads that were ever involved with the Diddy freakouts get exposed in this way, because it'll humble them.
Yeah, I agree. I always feel like Diddy was like a political prisoner. I don't know why they, when I say they, whoever that is, they wanted to see Diddy go down. I'm not just talking about fools on social media. I'm talking about the people who actually prosecuted him and whoever was behind it why they wanted him to go down so bad. So basically, being what it turns out, it seems to me, Diddy's just a guy who he's not well endowed, right? And then so he can't do this type of stuff with these hot chicks that he wish he could do, that he's into, that he watches adult entertainment or whatever. So basically, he would hire these sex working guys to come and do what he couldn't do, and they threw him in jail for it. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous that this man is behind bars for that. It really is. It's like a crime. The crime was really committed against P Diddy. So I just think it sucks. I know there was talk earlier this year or last year, maybe Trump giving him a pardon or something like that. That hasn't happened yet. I know he didn't really get that much time. He got less than 4 years, I think, and probably won't do all that the full time. But I really feel like when Diddy gets out, if people are being fair, they trump this charges up against this man, and then just like in the court of public opinion, the way that people tried to make it seem like he was some type of sick monster or something like that. And what as Galvez said, if the so-called freak offs, or even just what he would do with Cassie and whoever else, uh, if that was all it was, what we saw in that video, I see no reason that P Diddy shouldn't be able to come home and resume his life as a public figure. You know, that's just uh, that's just how I feel about it.
So that's the thing, right? It's maybe he's not in jail for what he should be in jail for, but the brother belongs in jail. He whooped Cassie's ass, and we seen it with our eyes, with our own eyes. He stomped that broad out like she was a dude, or like he just got finished watching Stone Cold stomp out Vince McMahon. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
man, like, he whooped her ass, and that's just
yeah.
something that's So I mean, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, if
But he should
you
have.
know
But
if
he should have gone to jail for that though.
yeah,
You know,
agree.
he should have
Yeah,
gone to jail for, I don't know, physical assault.
yeah, agreed.
He basically went to jail for prostitution. Come on,
Yeah,
4 years.
they listen. Like I said, it's like maybe he's not in jail for the right thing, but I mean, he's where he belongs. Let's like, you know what I mean? It's like we're listen. This is a full circle moment right here. This is like how SGA tried to cheat the basketball gods. The karma caught up to him. The karma caught up to Diddy. He whooped Cassie's ass. They found something to stick to him. Like,
Mhm.
it is what it is. It's hard to feel you know it's hard to feel bad for him, after watching him whoop Cassie's ass like that, like, straight up.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that when I said what I said. But that's kind of like when Mike Tyson he went to prison for rape, right? And I think we all
Right.
know that Mike Tyson really didn't rape that girl. But the way he justified it in his mind was going, well, did I rape her? No, I should. But like for stuff that he had done and gotten away with, it basically was making up for it. So that's how
Well,
Right.
they said like OJ. He didn't go to jail
Whoa.
for
yeah.
OJ's innocent.
well, he went to jail for, what was it? The
Stealing,
robbery.
Stealing golf
robbery.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah, robbery.
Yeah.
How could man? I
Because I
really
mean,
listen.
because in the
I
same
really
sense,
thought he was
because
about to get off.
wouldn't you say Chris Brown then deserves to go to jail?
Hell
I would say
yes.
Deserved.
I would say that it's time for a break. We'll be back. All right, we're back. So, uh, Jay Z, uh, he he hopped on stage at the Roots picnic over I think it was last week, late last week, and he had a lot on his mind. I guess Drake taking shots at him on Iceman was the last straw, and Jay Z after years, going back to when after the Nas beef, right? Anybody who would like, Jay fully engaged Nas, right? And even
Yeah.
after the initial round of
And Mob Deep.
right after the initial round of disses, Jay was still like on the Blueprint 2. dissing Nas and stuff like that. But then after that, like, it would be like, Cam and Jim Jones and Game getting at him. Game used to diss the, Game used to get at him.
Yeah,
What was my bitch that Game did? He was,
yeah,
I mean, that,
something like that.
so, and Jay would do his little subs and stuff like that, but he never gave like a direct response because Jay's whole thing was trying to act like, hey, these guys not even on my level. Like,
Yeah,
why would
Yeah.
I even?
I'm above it.
Right. He did that for like 20 years, right? And then he gets at this Roots picnic, and all of a sudden he's bothered. He's going at, he had his line it was like a little freestyle, right? It was like, he got it Drake, he got it Dame, he got it Nicki. Some people say he got it Moschino from Moschino and Sparks back in the Rockefeller days. Um,
Jesus Christmas.
Dame,
huh?
Kanye,
Kanye got it
Dame,
Kanye.
Kanye.
Yeah, I said Dame, he got it Kanye. Um,
Sheesh.
so he was letting it go. Um,
He
Galvez,
he he was sounding like he got a album release coming
I
out
would love I would love
soon.
that. Um,
I thought him and Ye were cool. After I think Kanye, I mean, Kanye came at Jay a couple times over the years,
mm,
but last
Yeah.
I remember, he had apologized and it was all good.
when you
I
start
guess he
talking
didn't
about
let it go.
people's kids, he said that Jay and Beyonce's kids were retarded. The little
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's
so
Yeah.
right.
that's hard to get over, right?
Yeah,
They
you're right.
alluded to that in the
Yeah,
Because even though Kanye was probably at his lowest point when he was
yeah,
saying that, yeah,
yeah,
It's like, why would you say that? This is what you think of Kanye when you're like, this is what you want to get off your chest when you're like at your lowest
yeah.
point
when
of
you're
opinion.
off your meds, this is what you want to
Is
say?
this
What
is
the
this your king?
hell? Sadly, yes. Sorry.
So yeah, man, but
We gotta get him back on his meds, Jay. My bad. Hold on.
yeah. um, Galvez, what's your? I know we talked about it already, but tell the people like, what was your like? I know you. I think we're all excited
well,
because shoot, it's hip
well, I mean, I know the young generation likes to say he's washed and he's overrated, um, which is
Yeah, right.
asinine. But I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, the guy hasn't put out any. He kind of went MIA. He had over the last couple of years. It was the whole Epstein files. It was the whole sexual assault thing that turned out to be completely false. But it just goes to show, man, when the guy raps, people listen. And you know, uh, do I think now? I think that freestyle really kind of made people like our age and older than us kind of appreciate. I don't think the young kids really cared, but yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see Jay really not kind of back down from anything. He just went straight for the jugular, and you know, it could have been that it was Drake that brought this out of him, and then he just kind of ran with it. But you know, I liked it,
Yeah.
even though he's 60 almost. It's kind of weird to say. It's a breath of fresh air.
Oh, man, that sounded disrespectful, but my goodness, damn.
Mitch, you got anything on
No, I haven't heard it in full yet. I only kind of read the video that I sent myself the video of his freestyle, and the caption only had the line he had for Drake.
it?
Um, but I mean, listen, I feel like me and you have to have gone back and forth about this, about the Jay-Z versus Nas thing, and I've always been more of a Jay-Z guy. I think Takeover is better than Ether. So I mean, Jay taking shots, I love it,
Yeah.
especially against Drake.
Yeah. I think that jig is up line. That was what made him finally decide. Okay, I'm still Jay
You
Z.
know what?
You know, and like Galvin
Yeah.
was saying, it took a god, you know, one of
Oh
the
boy, here we
greats
go.
to make him,
Oh boy.
you know, what?
Had to sneak that in there, huh?
Well, I mean, it is though. Like he think about. I mean, Cam is great. We like Jim. Game was great, but he felt like they weren't worth a, like a direct
Yeah.
response really. But Drake, it made him get on stage, got that Roots picnic, and go crazy. So
The thing
uh,
is, yeah, like because Cam and Jim and Game, these guys, they just kept pushing Jay's buttons, and they couldn't get him to really respond the way they wanted to, you know. But hey, he responded to Drake. I mean, it kind of just goes to show like it was worthy of his response.
Right.
yeah, just quickly mention what is your favorite Jay Z album?
Blueprint.
Okay, nice and quick.
Oh, mine is a
Yeah.
Black Album.
I
Yeah,
mean, not a bad choice. Black Album. I mean, listen, Black Album goes insanely hard too.
Yeah.
But
for me it'd probably be between Black Album. I like 444 too. I think it's really good. You
mm,
know, it's a very good like self-reflecting type of album.
Yeah. It's
Kind
a
of
more
like
mature.
yeah, but
I think just maybe maybe it's kind of the nostalgia of like Blueprint. Like I can remember my mom bought it for me on CD. Yes, kids on CD. Like the week it
Mhm.
came out. So like yeah, I had it like when it from the first week. Blueprint. Like just man, just straight fire.
yeah. Um, Miss, do you have anything you'd like to say to an old friend of ours?
Yeah. So uh, Herbert was going to come on and he was going to, uh, explain he was going to give his take on the Michael movie as well. Um, but unfortunately, we ran out of time. So sorry, Herbert. And sorry also to Shane Murray because I know he wanted to come on and say, um, fuck you to you, Anto. Sorry. But sorry, Herbert. Sorry, Shane. We ran out of time.
Yeah, sorry, Herbert. The hell with Shane. All right. So before we get out of here, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button next to the complete podcast network and to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network. You can also send feedback and
You
mailback questions
listen.
The beef,
to
He wouldn't
complete
want
records
Shane on the
podcast
show.
at gmail.com.
the beef
Shane
is
Murray.
alive and well.
Yeah.
Shane Murray, I mean, he can, I mean, Shane Murray.
Yeah. Say something to Shane. Say something to Shane.
I mean, Shane Murray. I don't want to say what I'm thinking,
Is
so I'm
is
not even gonna
is
say it.
Shane Murray worth a response?
No. What did Jay say at the end of Takeover, Mitch? What was the last line?
The rest of y'all,
Yeah. All
the
you other
rest of
cats
y'all
throwing
throwing shots
shots
at
at Jigga,
Jigga.
you only get
You only
half of
get
it.
half a bar.
So yeah, on that note, we are out.
Is Shane worth half a bar?
No.